everyone, my name is KRISNI Suhardiyani from Universitas Sebelas Maret, Indonesia. I would like to present our research in International Conference of Mathematics and Mathematics Education. The title is Students' Mathematical Literacy in Solving PISA Level 4 Problems. Let me start in introduction. Indonesia joined the program for International Student Assessment or PISA since 2000. However, the result of PISA Indonesia saw a decline, especially in the field of mathematical literacy. The average PISA mathematical literacy score in 2003 was 360, then increased in 2006 to 391. The year 2006 was the result of the highest PISA score. In the following years, it was relatively low. The latest PISA result in 2018, Indonesian average score was only 379, placing Indonesia at 74 out of 79 countries. This shows that mathematical literacy ability of Indonesian students has not yet reached the minimum level of competence. The minimum level of competence in the PISA assessment is level 2, where the lower score limit for level 2 is 420. This result can help Indonesians describe the characteristic of the population as a whole. PISA 2018 result in the field of mathematical literacy show around that 28% of students in Indonesia reach level 2 or higher, where the OECD average is 76%, and about 1% of students score at level 5 or higher, where the OECD average is 11%. Students have been able to solve level 1 problems. At level 2 and level 3, students are still not able. Students' mathematical literacy ability is still relatively low because students still find it difficult to deal with PISA questions with level 1 and 2. Students with low logical mathematical intelligence have not been able to meet the indicator of mathematical literacy. Students with logical mathematical intelligence can meet level 2 mathematical literacy. The mathematical literacy ability of students with dominant visual and auditory learning styles is at level 2, while students with dominant kinesthetic learning style reach level 3. Students with low initial mathematical ability were only able to solve mathematical literacy problems at level 1, students with moderate at level 3, and students with high at level 4. Based on this data, the researcher wants to analyze the mathematical literacy skills of students at level 4. This research is important because Indonesian students are only able on average at level 3, so it is necessary to analyze the mathematical literacy skill of students at level 4. Method. This study uses a qualitative research approach. The type of research taken is a phenomenological study. The technique of taking the subject uses the snowball sampling technique, data collection using the think aloud method, and in-depth interviews. The validity of the data was checked using a triangulation method, data analysis, organizing and familiarizing, coding and reducing, interpreting and representing. Figure 1 is a test item used to assist the data collection process. The question in Figure 1 is an example of PISA question in 2012. The context of the question is personal, namely Helen the cyclist. The mathematical content area of this problem is change and relationship. Result and discussion. 1. Aspect of formulating. In this case, to identify the mathematical aspect and understand the questions, students read the question repeatedly Then, to recognize the mathematical structure in the question, students mark using a ballpoint pen on the numbers in the question. This can be seen in figure 2. Next, students identify assumption and constraint by verbally expressing that they will calculate the average speed for question number 1 and 3 and calculate the time for number 2. Then students represent it by writing down what is now on the question and what is being asked as in figure 3. At the time of the interview, the student explains the question number 1 and 3 contain information on distance and time. It is to find the average speed. Then in the question number 2, there is information on distance and speed, and the time will be solved. Based on the result of the analysis both, students are able to identify aspects of mathematics by reading the question repeatedly, to recognize mathematical structure by marking important information. Students are also able to identify constraints and assumptions by representing them in writing, and able to understand and explain problems in a written form. Mathematical representation. This is in line with the result of the research which state that students are able to identify aspects of mathematics in problems contained in real context situation and identify important variables because students are able to write down what is known and asked in the problem. 2. Aspect of employing. After the formulating stage, it is continue with the employing stage. At the employing stage, to design and implement strategy, students need a long time to recall the formula from speed. To get it, students try to write it down several times on their worksheets. Then, find solution, students use the formulas that have been written and perform calculation with routine procedure. This can be seen in figure 4. In problem number 3, students use the calculator to do calculation because the numbers are decimal. Students also perform several calculations and seem confused because there was more than one calculation result that he got. By putting a question mark on his work as shown in figure 5. To represent and relate the real situation, students will read the question and think for a long time. It turned out that students are quite difficult to relate the real situation on the problem. As in question number 3, students don't change minutes into hours as requested in the question. Then, because it was quite difficult to represent, the students immediately made generalization based on the result of the calculation obtained. During the interview, the student explained, in question number 3, I can find the average speed. I think all calculations are probably correct, but I doubt which calculation is correct. So I immediately conclude that the average speed of number 3 is correct. I choose is 0.465. Based on the result of the analysis above, students are able to design and implement strategies to find solution to problem using the knowledge I already have. Then use mathematical tools, calculators to help with calculation. Students are able to perform calculation with a routine procedure, but are still unable to represent information and connecting with real situation so that the generalization process is carried out without any fundamental reason. This is in line with the result of research which state that students with visual learning style are able to work on level 3 and level 4 questions, which are questions that require students to carry out procedure clearly, including procedures that require sequential decision, work effectively with model for situation that concrete but complex one that may involve restriction and making assumption. 3 aspects of interpreting and evaluating. At the interpreting and evaluating stage, students interpret the result to determine the correct answer by looking back at the work they have written. Then, explaining the process of generalizing the result in the coherent manner. However, students have not linked the result of the calculation of the solution obtained to interpret what was asked in the problem. Students estimate the correct answer based on the available answer option. Students have not carried out the evaluation stage because they don't provide an explanation of the conclusion obtained for the solution to the problem. Based on the result of the interview, the students explain. Question number 1 looks for the average speed by dividing the distance by time. The result is 0.4 kilometer by minutes. Then question number 2 looks for time. How to divide the distance by speed? The result is 0.33 hours. Then question number 3 looks for the average speed. The same as number 1, the result is 0.497. Then, because I was still confused about how to relate it to the answer option in number 1 and 2, so I chose the right option. Based on the result of the analysis, both students interpret the result into the real-world context by looking back at the generalization result, but still have difficulty relating this result to find the right answer. As a result, students don't carry out the process of evaluating and reasonableness of the solution. This is indicate that students don't understand how the real world affect the result. So they have not been able to explain why this result can be obtained, don't understand, criticize, and identify the limit used to solve the problem. This is in line with research with step. The students' difficulties in solving PISA level 1 question, namely students have difficulty interpreting what they are asked to do. This can be seen from the answer given by students that are not in accordance with the instruction for the question. And the last conclusion. 1. At the formulating stage, students need to read repeatedly and provide coding on the question to identify important objects needed in solving problems. And the culmination is to represent the finding in the form of mathematical expression. 2. At the stage of employing, students use their memorial skills to determine the right formula and then use calculation according to routine procedure or utilize available media to process completion. 3. At the interpreting stage, students interpret the result to the real world context by looking back at the generalization result, but still have difficulty relating this result to find the right answer. As a result, students don't carry out the process of evaluating the reasonableness of the solution. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you for your attention.